Well, we could go on this book for a long time. I think that's a good place to reflect and say, look, there's a lot of principles that you can apply, judo and jiu-jitsu. There's things that jiu-jitsu you should take from jiu-jitsu and things that you should take from judo, principles. And if you mix those two together, you get something that's really powerful, not just on the mat, but something that's really powerful to apply to your life. Again, is everything in this theories perfect? No. Somebody asked me that the other day. I was with a group of young leaders, and because I was talking about how it's beneficial to read about history and understand warfare and understand it gives you an insight into human nature and it gives you an insight into people, the way people think and all this stuff. And this guy says, hey, do you ever think that maybe what you read was wrong, and if you apply what you read, you'll actually end up making a mistake? Or do you just follow history? And I'm like, no, that's the whole reason. I go, because the more you read, the more you understand, the more different angles you see. And I'm questioning every decision I make. I'm questioning all these things all the time. And I'm using all this different information that I have in my head as sounding boards to check off of at least let me shed some light on it, gather some intelligence. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, question yourself and question these theories. Yeah. That's what I think. That's one of the best things about. It's one of the best things about MMA and jiu-jitsu and fighting right now is that it's evolving so fast, and it's open for it. And if you're not down for that right now, you're going to be left in the dust. Yeah. You're going to be left in the dust. Does this mean that every fancy new move that comes out should be applied to your game? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Does it mean that every fancy gi jiu-jitsu move that you saw in Worlds would be super effective in a fist fight? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But should you have an open mind to understand that some of those things could be absolutely beneficial? Yes, you definitely should. Yeah. So keep an open mind with everything that you're doing. Mm-hmm. That idea of broad-mindedness. Sometimes I wish Kano would have had a little bit more broad-mindedness. Yeah. Because that it would have been beneficial. Yep. That's one of the sad things about judo is they outlawed the double leg takedown in judo. You can't do it. You can do it after you've done another takedown attempt. So it can be like a follow-on. Gotcha. But that's not cool. No. That's not cool. I can see that. And it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu, right? Where they outlaw certain submissions. Mm-hmm. Like the heel hook with gi jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Right? Like the heel hook is still there. The heel hook itself is still there in the motion of there. You shouldn't outlaw it. It should be part of it, because then you have people ending up in positions where they're not effective fighting positions. Yep. They're not, because you can get heel hooked and you get your knee torn apart. Yeah. So why would you outlaw something that's very effective? I understand there is some danger in the heel hook. For those of you that don't know, the danger of the heel hook is that it doesn't create pain before it creates injury. Well, it doesn't create a lot of pain before it creates injury. So you can have a heel hook on you, and you can be like, oh, I can get out of this. Yep. And the person starts applying pressure, and you're like, oh, that doesn't really hurt. And then pop, you have to go get surgery now. Yeah. That's the problem with heel hooks. But if you and your training partners understand that, and if competitors understood, like, hey, if I get caught here, I'm going to end up in surgery if I don't tap. Yeah. So if you understand that, then you won't go in these positions where you're exposed to a heel hook. So that's what you should do, not only with jiu-jitsu, but you should do it with life too. Like, understand what really works. Don't outlaw things. Don't avoid things just because you're not good at them. Yeah. Open yourself up to them.
Do you know why they don't? They really don't allow heel hooks in gi competition. Do you know why?
Are you asking me that question?
Do you know the reason for that? That they say or whatever.
I think it's because the possibility of injury.
Yeah, but the no gi they let it. Why? Because you can slide more in no gi.
I don't know. I think that might be just tradition, but hopefully, they should allow double leg takedowns in judo. They should allow heel hooks in jiu-jitsu, in gi jiu-jitsu. Now, this doesn't mean if you roll with me and we're rolling gi, you just slap a heel hook on me, because I won't be expecting that, and I'll be pissed.
Or that should be part of your training.
Yeah.
And so congratulations.
Well, it is. But yeah, I guess you're right. I need to tighten it up.
Yeah, I would say that is one of those things. Here's what it is with the heel hooks with gi. Like, if someone busts it, because it's so widely known as disrespectful. Yeah, it's like, so if you get a guy, especially, let's say extreme scenario, a new guy comes in, he's a purple belt. hungry blue belt. He comes in, he rolls with, one of the instructors, black belt or whatever, gi, they're rolling and he's going super hard and he goes for a heel hook. Pause right there. Technically, what as far as what we're talking about, that should be okay. We're all here training, we're all getting better. He's going hard. Thanks for the good training kind of thing. He did it, but we're essentially trained to see heel hooks with the gi as disrespectful. Yeah. It's against the rules.
Yeah, it's against the rules.
It's so embedded in it's embedded in the culture, really. But as far as what we're talking about, like it's really okay. He's busting out a heel hook.
I'll say no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that, I know this is like
this
is like contradictory for me but this is the similar thing, right? If you came into the gym and like you went for a heel hook on me, we were training gi, and I started punching you in the face, right? That like you weren't expecting that, but you should be prepared for it. So if
you understand that that's what you're training, like, are we street rules, punches illegal, allowed, or whatever?
I'm saying there's certain things that are universally, as far as I have not been anywhere, and I talk to a lot of jiu-jitsu people, and I roll a lot of different jiu-jitsu places where it's like you're wearing a gi, you're cleared hot to do heel hooks.
Yeah,
I have not seen that anywhere.
Me neither. And
it should be that way.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm with you, and there, there's exceptions, of course. And just because I happened to, Craig Baker will allow him. He'll even say, yeah, you can heel hook. It doesn't come up because, just like what we're saying, it's so widely known and understood from the beginning. Yeah. You don't do heel hooks with the gi. It's just, but why is that? We don't really think about why is that, and does it? We don't
because
necessarily
those are the recognized sanctioned rules.
Right.
Just like the recognized sanctioned rules say that if we're grappling, I'm not going to start punching you in the face.
No, but no, because that's punching in the face is not grappling. Like if punching in the face does deviate from when you start learning jiu-jitsu, unless it's understood that that's the kind of training you're going to get. So here's the thing. Okay, when I put on the gi, these moves are not allowed, right? There's no I don't know. There's no rules. I mean, sure, IBJJF, but there's a probably bigger percentage of people that do jiu-jitsu have never competed in an IBJJF tournament. Yeah. Probably the majority of the people. Yet we're following IBJJF rules in training sometimes. Even though actually the gi competitions, I've never heard of a gi competition that allows heel hooks. Yeah, even at black belt. But that's not the point. The point isn't that they're not allowed, so don't do them. That's not the point. The point is, why are they not allowed, given what we were just talking about?
In my opinion, they're not allowed because of the propensity or possibility of an injury. Or people think that there's a high possibility you could get injured there. Yeah. They're somewhat accurate because it is a different kind of pain. It's a lack of pain. And so there's a little bit of accuracy.
Yeah, I dig it. And I see if, especially if that is true as far as why they want it. Because some people might say they don't want it because jiu-jitsu was always looked at as this linear thing. Like Donner mentioned part of this where, you get past the legs and you work your way up his body to tap him out. And you can start tapping him out when you get up to the upper body. And the legs were just something you had to get past because they're going to try to kick you and they have leverage on their own body and all this stuff. And that's it. That's traditionally how we look at jiu-jitsu, and that's the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu is the best and all this stuff. Now you get, a new person or someone from Sambo or whatever will come in and be like, oh, that's jiu-jitsu, or let me go ahead and kind of flip it upside down a little bit and change what this jiu-jitsu is. And they're like, we don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that could be why.
I'm just saying that's what I've heard.
Could be why.
Yeah.
Could be why.
So let me ask you this.
I have heard like that people's initial reaction. I think I've heard Dean say this. Like, if your reaction is like, "Oh, that's not good for my game," we'll just outlaw it.
Yeah.
So that's
what it resulted in.
Yeah.
Because all jiu-jitsu guys are training this specific way.
Well, and that's what judo did. Hey, double leg takedowns are not good for judo against a wrestler. You get someone that's been wrestling for 27 years and they come into a judo competition, they hit a double leg, it's not good for the judo player.
Yeah, they're cheating,
guess what?
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And so guess what? Outlaw them.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
Right.
And so I'm not pro outlawing anything.
That was the ultimate point there. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Check.
So let me ask you this. Do you think in training heel hooks with the gi, just you personally, you think they should be allowed? Heel hooks with the gi?
I think they should be allowed every time, all the time, everywhere. But they are not right now, And therefore, in my mentality, is like, okay, because I'm not going to put myself into a position that a heel hook is available to you unless I know that they're not available.
Exactly. Yeah, I dig it. And actually, I agree. That's the same thing. Like if we were gonna roll and I just did it, no good. But if I said, hey, before we rolled, like when we're walking in, or even right before we kind of shook hands, whatever, I said, hey, heel hooks are a go. That would change the game.
Yeah, it would change the game for sure.
Okay, so same thing like if you're doing no-gi, and you know how guys, like, they just don't know or whatever, and they'll grab your shorts, they'll grab your shirt, rash guard, whatever, they'll grab it, because they just don't know. Even if it's the same deal, less dangerous, of course, but same deal where it's like when you start doing that, they'll stop and be like, hey, you can't do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you say before you roll, hey, yeah, you can grab shorts, whatever, up to you. Just don't pull them off or something like that. It's kind of one of those deals.
Yeah, you could, I guess, make some ad hoc rules before you start rolling, but or just go with what's universally accepted at this time.
Slaps in the face are legal.
Sometimes.
Let's go. Whatever.
Check. All right. Well, like I said, a lot of stuff to learn from judo and jiu-jitsu to make yourself better in those sports and in life. So, good.
Yeah, I was actually pretty, I don't want to say impressed, but pretty, impressed with the whole book.
Yeah.
Except for the part about telling people how to eat.
Telling people how to eat. The calisthenics are no good.
Yeah.
Being buff is a waste of time. There's definitely some, and
there's some truth to that one.
It's weird because as I'm preparing the podcast, I'm like, okay, do I just say the things in here that I agree with?
Oh yeah.
Because that's one way I could do it. Mm-hmm. Do I? Because one thing that's I was thinking about when I read a quote from a book, people, do they kind of think like, well, I agree with that, like I support this, unless I outwardly just reject it.
Yeah.
And I kind of did half the book where I was like, well, I don't really talk about that because I see where he's coming from, but that's not really my gig. And then I got to other parts where I was like, I have to talk about the fact that he thinks that this stuff is, this is a completely different than what I think,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I try and explain myself as I talk about it. But yeah, there's definitely some things that I don't agree with. There's some things that I don't agree with about judo, like, there's things that I don't agree with about jiu-jitsu. That's why I think there's a good mixture of the two that would be very powerful.
Yeah.
We need to bring Dave Camarillo on.
Yeah. Agree.
Or some of these other guys that have grown up in judo and are savage at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Agree.
So anyways, cool.